Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today. It's Anna. I'm currently a first-year graduate student of architectural engineering, and I make cinematic/aesthetic videos about my life and occasionally my stuff. If I'm not studying, you can find me here on YouTube or on Instagram. Today I'll be talking to you about how I use my iPad Pro as a student for online classes. This video is divided into different parts, and you can skip around to these parts if you'd like, as I've provided the timestamps here on screen and in the description below. If you find this video helpful, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel, as it really helps my channel grow. Without further ado, let's begin. The iPad I have is the 2020 11-inch iPad Pro in silver with 128 gigs of storage and in Wi-Fi only. I got this iPad around November because my laptop was giving up on me and I needed something to write on for online classes. Because at the time, I was an engineering instructor who could only afford to pick between getting a laptop or a tablet. I'll link the unboxing video of my iPad in the card above. Now, I had to be on Zoom a lot solving problems that involve a lot of equations and diagrams, and having to type that down in Word or PowerPoint was a huge hassle, and it took a lot of precious time. Writing it down was a lot easier, so I decided on just getting the iPad. Today, I'll show you all the ways I use the iPad Pro in my academic productivity system. I'll also be sharing some apps that I use and tips that I think will be useful for the general population of students who are either thinking about getting an iPad Pro for online classes or those who already have the iPad and are looking to maximize their use of it. The reason I like the iPad Pro for online classes so much is that I can finally do without paper for the most part of online learning. As an international graduate student who's looking to pursuing my PhD in a different country and just moving around in general for conferences, consultations, and even travel, having a portable device that I can write on and type with is an amazing option to have. It's like having a second brain everywhere with me in one small portable device. I can't imagine having to lug around big folders and notebooks that I probably won't even bother opening because it's just such a hassle to go through and find what I need. Whereas with the iPad, I can just bring up the search function in whatever app I'm using and then be able to find the information I want quickly. The thing is, this device isn't cheap, so if you're a student who's looking into getting one for yourself for school, I'd understand if you're really thinking about it first, about all the pros and cons of getting one. And personally, I see this device as an investment in the life that I'm working towards. It was a little bit easier for me to purchase because at the time that I got it, I was already working and earning. It still wasn't an easy buy for me though, because like I said, this device isn't cheap. However, for the last 5 or 6 months that I've been using it for both teaching and studying, I saw the value it added to my workflow in general, aka it helped me do more with less effort. And who doesn't want that, right? Now, can you use this as your only device for online classes? I'd say it'll depend on what you're majoring in. For me, I'd have to do a lot of note-taking, problem-solving, typing, diagramming, and if this was the only device that I had, I'd say I can make it work. But my preference is still, for typing long papers at least, is to do it on a computer with the iPad just as a second screen for my references. If you want me to do a video on using the iPad Pro as my only device for online classes, please comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well if you're already using it as your only device for online classes. I wanted to maximize the use of my iPad, and I know I'll be able to do that with the appropriate accessories for what I need the iPad for. I'll be linking these accessories in the description below in case you want to check them out. The first one is kind of a no-brainer. It's the second generation Apple Pencil. Like I mentioned earlier, the reason I got an iPad initially was to be able to write digitally, so it was just natural to also get the Apple Pencil to go along with it. Writing with the Apple Pencil is truly a unique experience. Yes, it does take some getting used to since I'm not actually writing on paper anymore, but once you've gotten used to it, there's kind of no turning back. So if you're a student who is like me and needs to do a lot of handwritten problem-solving stuff that just involves the need for you writing down something, I would recommend getting the Apple Pencil along with your iPad right away. To protect my device, I got the ESR magnetic case. I chose this case for the sole reason that it won't make my iPad look bulky. I really like for it to be very light looking, if that makes sense, because for my old iPad mini, I used a thicker case, and although it protected the iPad really well, I found that it made it look and actually feel a lot heavier than it was. And for the screen protector, I also got one from ESR. It's matte. I bought it along with the case because it's from the same store. I installed it myself, which was a very self-esteem lowering experience, but at least now I could write with a paper-like feel on the iPad. I didn't like the feeling of writing on glass, so instead of getting tempered glass, I got this. The friction really makes it feel a lot closer to writing on paper, and it also improves my handwriting a lot. Since I also use my iPad for light typing, I got myself an iPad stand, a Bluetooth keyboard, and mouse. The stand I got is aluminum and it's very heavy, so I'm sure my iPad won't fall over while I'm using it. And for the keyboard and mouse, I got the Logitech K380 Bluetooth keyboard and the Logitech M350 Pebble mouse, both in white, because I wanted them to match each other and I thought they went really well with my silver iPad. My productivity workflow always begins with planning, and to make sure I stay on track, I incorporate the following apps into my system. First is the LearningX student app, which is actually tied to the Learning Management System, or LMS, my university uses to administer our online classes. This is Canvas. This is useful for me because every time my professors upload new lectures or activities, these just pop up as notifications on my iPad or even on my phone and reminds me of any deadlines I have coming up. After seeing all those notifications from this app, I input them all in my Notion on my to-do table, and I add some additional information through columns like which class is this for, the due date, and other extra notes that I want to write down. Finally, when I've enumerated all my tasks for the week and see when everything's due, I make time for each task on Google Calendar via time blocking. This way, I know that for every block of time I have assigned to a task, I can focus on just that one thing because I'm very bad at multitasking. Now, because we're in a pandemic, online correspondence is vital to our online school life. I mainly use Gmail for communicating with my professors in university, as well as the university officers. I do need to send a lot of reports and documents being an international student, and Gmail has just been my go-to email platform for this because it's just so easy to use. For consultations or meetings with professors, I would use Zoom or Skype, and in my case, my professors usually prefer Skype for one-on-one meetings and Zoom for class meetings. I also need to communicate with my classmates, and for that, I usually need a more immediate response, so I prefer talking to them through either Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, or KakaoTalk. Sometimes we have online study sessions on Zoom where we all just study at the same time without necessarily talking. We do it just because we don't want to feel so alone, and honestly, company is just really nice. Sometimes we discuss research ideas even and exchange information because we're all coming from different undergraduate backgrounds. Now, the way our lectures are conducted is that the professor records himself presenting the lecture and then would post the video to Canvas. This pops up on my learning app and I watch it from a browser on my laptop, usually while I take notes on my iPad. But since my laptop isn't the most reliable device right now, there are times I would watch the lectures on my iPad. So we're on an asynchronous system. I mainly use either Safari or Chrome for this, but for live lectures or seminars like the library information seminar my university conducted for us, we use Zoom. Sometimes I also want to learn more about a certain topic that my professor discussed in passing, so I would go to YouTube or Khan Academy for that because that is the source of all knowledge. So while doing lectures or reading references, I like to take down a lot of notes, and this is one of the main things I like about the iPad. I like the flexibility of writing down notes and then being able to move them around as I see fit. My laptop is about to give up, so there are times I have to watch the lectures while taking down notes on my iPad. iPadOS allows me to split the screen so I can do these things at the same time. I have the 11-inch, so sometimes it can get cramped when I use split screen, but it isn't too big of a problem when I've got Notion for typing notes. However, I do prefer manually writing things down. Also, in engineering, we deal with a lot of equations, problem solving, and diagramming, so writing these while listening to the lectures is a lot easier than having to type them on a text editor. Yes, I know Notion is tech-based, so typing equations is actually really easy, but writing equation down helps me remember things better. I just wish iPad OS had a vertical split screen option because for me, it's easier to look up and down when listening and annotating with lectures. It also gives me a wider writing width on GoodNotes or OneNote than if it was side by side. My phone on Android has this function, and I've used it a few times to text while watching YouTube videos. I can imagine this being very functional for the iPad as well. I can't stress this enough. The iPad to me is the perfect digital note-taking device. And not just for note-taking actually. I use it a lot for answering my problem sets, annotating my PDF slides, and research articles. For note-taking and annotations, I'm usually on GoodNotes. For those who don't know, GoodNotes is a paid note-taking app available on the App Store for iPad OS. The reason I chose this over Notability, another popular note-taking app, is that most of the study vloggers I follow use it. That's really it. I've really enjoyed using it so far, and I feel like the one-time purchase price is a steal for the options and customizations this app offers. I think it costs around $8 or roughly 400 pesos. And when I think about all the money I'm saving from not having to buy binders, fillers, notebooks, pens, highlighters, and markers, not to mention the other things that come with it, I'd say this is a really good deal, especially for students. Now, if you still don't want to spend on GoodNotes, you can check your university if you have access to Microsoft 365 for education. I say this because if you do, you can use OneNote for free, quote unquote. And what's great is that if you have a Windows laptop, you can sync your notes across both your iPad and your Windows device. I mainly use OneNote for its infinite paper function when I'm doing my initial problem solving for assignments or exams. I like that I never essentially run out of paper when solving something for the first time, which if you're an engineering student like me, you know it can eat a lot of space really quickly. So how I do this is I solve on OneNote, and when I feel like I'm done, I open OneNote on my laptop, and then on GoodNotes on my iPad, I rewrite my solutions and export those into PDF, and that's what I send to my professor. I always remind myself that being a full-time student doesn't mean I get to ignore the other aspects of my life. This is why I make sure that I'm also using my iPad for rest and recreation. I usually watch YouTube or Netflix on it. Pretty straightforward. I watch Netflix for my K-dramas or movies, but during the days I feel like I can't commit to hour-long episodes, I turn to YouTube to watch vlogs and other videos that would run around 10 to 15 minutes long on average. It would take me an hour to detail how the iPad has revolutionized my online class learning experience. Having it for almost half a year has proven that this device is very much worth what I paid for. It's so many things in one. It's my daily planner, tracker, lecture viewer, notebook, relaxation, and communication device. Now, if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel as it helps me get more views, which really helps my channel grow a lot faster. Thank you for sticking with me to the end, and till next time, have a good day. Bye!